first I'd like to share with you how my addressing this group came about. It started with a call from my esteemed friend and a fabulous networker, Barb Stegman, sitting in the back there next to Scott Ferguson. And it started with a call introducing me to Martin Rutt and talking about the possibility of having a meeting here at the center, which we did. And the meeting led to some very interesting discussion on, amongst other things, the use of discretionary energy, because I was talking about the work that I was doing for the Government of Canada, and it led to those discussions, and here we are, and we are into other kinds of discussion as we speak. As I have in my notes, I'm a senior public servant. As you can see, I have the hair to prove it and the glasses to prove it. Back in August 2008, I was sitting with the clerk of the Privy Council, the then clerk, Kevin Lynch, who's the clerk of the Privy Council in the federal government of Canada and the head of the public service. And this was at the opportunity of my performance appraisal. So we at the deputy minister's level are often asked, we're asked to do corporate contributions on issues where the clerk and the DM's community really want to get a grapple on issues. And the clerk really wanted to do a reality check on actually what we were doing, what approaches were we taking in the public service throughout Canada in order to become a more bilingual place and a more diverse place. And he was receiving a tremendous amount of reports, but as you know, reports speak of numbers. They don't necessarily speak of people and what people are doing. So his idea was for me to chair a one-person task force, me, with resources from my own organization, to explore a task force on workforce and workplace, and to explore the practical approaches that we were using throughout the country. And I was on my own to determine how I was going to do that, but I had to meet with people to listen what they had to say on particularly those two areas. The Federal Public Service, as probably a lot of you know here, is a big organization of roughly 260,000 employees. And we're responsible for providing services to Canadians through all sorts of activities, whether it's supervising the coast, the borders, international security, national defense. We supervise fish stocks, correctional services. We administer and collect taxes. We administer justice. We take care of war veterans, of Aboriginals. We do economic development, social development. And I'm just mentioning, this is just a few of what we do. And also, we do that in all the regions of the country, and we do that in both official languages. So it is quite a responsibility that we all share, and official languages is a responsibility of the Federal Public Service, and diversity is a must. Because if we are going to have a public service that reflects the population of the country, we need to be diverse. So, I mean, was a non-issue for me, to sit down with people and explore these things. So my task, as I said, was to meet with employees and collect the practical approaches to ensure that we have a bilingual and a diverse workforce. I'm giving you a little bit of the context because it's important. Because I want to share with you what I've learned. I met with employees from coast to coast in their own environment. This meant roughly about 16 sessions, because I include the National Capital Region, for roughly about 300 public servants that were talking about practices that probably involved another maybe 3,000, because I mean they were not on their own doing that. From all levels, I had sessions where I had from senior assistant deputy ministers to people in the support group, in administrative support group. and they were all around the same table. And these conversations lasted roughly for 2 to 3 hours. And during that time, we shared the practical approaches. So if you can imagine, I had to step down from my role, which is, somebody mentioned the ivory tower, you lost the key, so you stepped out of it. I've never been in an ivory tower. I'm based in Moncton. I travel to Ottawa a lot, but from this, I compiled 150 practical approaches that we are using throughout the country. And these are not, I mean, there's many more out there of things that we do. But in the process of compiling those practices, given the number of people that I talked to, in our workplace, I learned some lessons, and this is what I'd like to focus on today, if you allow me. First, this work gave me an opportunity to hear employees speak with real passion and commitment on the work that they're doing and on the kind of public service that they want to work in and what they're doing to create that workplace. What was striking for me was that those practical approaches went well beyond the themes of bilingualism and diversity, and they spoke to best management or management practices, and they underscored the importance of leaders at all levels that are taking measures to create an effective and a good workplace. At the same time, obviously, we espouse the values of bilingualism and of diversity, but it went well beyond that. It went to leadership values, to management, and it was quite interesting. But back to the lessons, I have 10 of them, and I will use a few examples. The practical approaches that we've collected are in a report, which will be posted at the School of the Public Service. They're internal. They would serve, they might not serve organizations the same. That's why the lessons are probably more important for a discussion here. First of all, I've discovered through those sessions and talking with people that in the public service of Canada, we are adopting innovative approaches that really work in our milieu. But we are really not good at sharing them. We have departments all over, and we have very siloed departments, huge departments. I mean, if you take departments like the Revenue Agency, for example, with roughly 50,000 employees, I mean, they're entities in themselves. So to try to share the information is difficult, but we are doing, we are adopting a lot of approaches. Most of the sharing goes on in the regions, not as much in Ottawa. I've learned that. I've also learned from what people are telling me that leadership is key. And while many of the approaches, and you'll say, well, yeah, sure, but a lot of the approaches that were explored were employee-driven. But there was a strong recognition that when senior managers send the message or the signal within their respective environments or departments, that they actually achieve bigger results. So, I mean, we know that, but it's important that the walk the talk, and I don't want to use the cliche, has an impact here. Also, leadership arose from any level within the organization. There were a lot of really, really good practices, and senior managers didn't really know that was necessarily going on, and they really served a purpose.